perfect time.
Fireworks waiting on the edge of the night. Stars over Mossy Creek burning bright. Freedom bash, come gather round. We're still putting culture in the ground. Raise a jar, raise a glass. Here's to the ones who make things last. No shortcuts here, no borrowed dreams. Just hard work, living in the seams. Turn it loose, strike the spark. Build some more after dark. Freedom to build, freedom to try, freedom to fail and still get it right. Freedom to love, freedom to build, pass it along so the whole world knows we're still growing. Tennessee hills and a lab-like glow.
Testing. Hello, everybody. It's your friendly neighborhood mushroom guy. And why are you sorry? Every time you come into stream, my views go up. He stays back here and sit behind me. Welcome, everybody. Glad to have everyone here. Those of you joining us, we are doing our normal, for the first time, we're doing our normal Thursday night live stream Q&A session. We're going to talk a little bit over some different things, maybe even get over there to the lab. Excuse me. We will be getting over there to the lab because I wanted to show the results. Last week we did some inoculations of a new substrate that we're trialing out. And we're going to kind of take a look at that real quick and see how it's doing. Liquid culture to bulk inoculation. So I hope everyone's doing all right today. Again, if you're here for the first time, we do this every Wednesday, 5 p.m. And this is your chance to ask as many questions as you want. I need you to ask as many questions as you possibly can. It makes the job so much easier for me. And the more questions there are, the longer the stream lasts. So the more information you get. Just ask and ye shall receive. Let's see. We got Jacob Tucker says, yes, I ain't missing this one. Let's go. Yeah, I saw what you said that you missed last week's. right there at the end, huh? That happens. This guy's making chicken. Oh, my grill. Heck yeah, man, let's go. Well, that's what I'm saying. What are you saying, Chrissy? I've already talked too far. Freedom to grow. I actually thought about changing that song, and I was like, I'm going to leave it. I know it's the closest thing I have to a Dolly Parton song, and old Queen Dolly died, so we gotta have something. Maybe at some point I'll get something actually legitimate set up. So I had an alarm set on my phone. Oh, I'm glad to hear it. Yeah, I usually have to do that, but I will say that the new ADHD meds make it to where I'm remembering stuff better than I ever had my entire life. So pretty excited by that, actually. Though I still have to put things on my phone, else they don't exist sometimes. What's up? What's up, Devin? Glad to see you, man. Hadn't heard from you in a bit. You live right down the road, and we just never see each other. It's okay. I don't ever see Josiah or Caden either, and I just never go to Knoxville anymore. Justin Adams, welcome, man. I've tried to get into this. It's so fascinating. Maybe I'm confusing the hell out of myself. You're not too dumb, man. It's just an unfamiliarity thing. Even the dumbest person can grow mushrooms, which means that you're not too dumb. Though I suspect, just based on the law of statistics, that you are not too dumb for this to begin with. So, what's up, Johnny? Welcome, man. Much love. My fungus grows well. Actually, my fungus is growing amazing. I will talk. I know you guys have asked about how the ADHD meds are treating me and stuff in previous streams. So I actually have a good report on this, and maybe something some of you guys have struggled with as well, that this has helped me with. But we'll get there in a minute. But things are growing better probably than they ever have. So, wood. She is cooking on a wood-fired grill, a pellet smoker. It's a Pit Boss pellet smoker. It's the, what was it, 500 XL or whatever. I bought it back in 2020, right before the pandemic, like March, or no. Let's see. No, I bought it in 2019, actually. We have repaired that thing, the gearbox and everything, and it's so cheap and easy to just keep going. So I highly recommend if anybody is thinking about getting one of those Pit Boss pellet grills. That thing has been life-changingly good. Every time it's ever been down for repair, which is few and far between, it is very upsetting to my life. I found a nice Bercutia persinius specimen that I'm cloning. White chicken of the woods, not to be confused with the white port chicken of the woods. Interesting. I would love a sample of it if you ever get a chance. Trade it into the mycologium. That would be a cool one to have. I will say, speaking of mycologium and chicken of the woods both, that's what I did today. I actually went through my entire chicken of the woods archive and plated everything out to make sure that we can refresh it and everything. So we've got a lot of chicken of the woods over there. It's not the most numerous, species. I would say I have oysters, and then Hericiums are the second most numerous in my archive. Followed probably by hen of the woods, and after that is probably chicken of the woods. So it's definitely not the largest population in my library, but it was in need of rework pretty bad. So I went through and just refreshed a bunch of stuff to make sure that we still have it. But I love chicken of the woods. It's great. Hike for mushrooms. That is indeed what we do. Hey, Andrew, Mossy Creek family. First time being able to actually make the live stream. I'm glad you certainly did. I wanted to say thank you guys so much for all you do in the mycology community. Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Yeah, it's been very exciting. I always enjoy teaching and trying to help people grow. And so this is my time, since it's your first time, it's my time to make myself available to everyone so that I can afford to take the time to answer questions. So I always set aside a good 3 hours to try to answer questions. And as long as they're flowing, I keep answering, and we go into it like that. So, but yeah, very welcome, man. And do not be shy in asking questions and whatever you want to do. But yeah, you're very, very, very welcome. I'm glad that we could help and get out there and answer people's questions and get people growing and lower that barrier to entry. So, what's up, Exception? It's good to see you, buddy. Glad to see you on here. The excuse me. Magnolia, Devin says, dude, I saw some massive reishi growing in someone's yard a couple weeks ago, but I was on the delivery truck and couldn't stop to snatch them. Got them marked on GPS, though. Hope they're still there. Yeah, man, go check them out. There's been many a time many a yard I have raided, usually with the owner's permission. There was one time I stopped to grab a pheasant's back, and I was like, I'm just going to grab it and go because I don't, I'm in a hurry. And I jumped out of the truck and I ran over there and I started to grab it. And as I jumped back in the truck, they literally came outside and just were like looking on their front porch, like, what is going on? And then so I just stopped and I was like, okay. I was like, hey guys, I study mushrooms and collect them. And I'm sorry, I should have asked, but I was in a hurry. And usually people don't like mushrooms. And he's like, yeah, I don't care. You can have it. And I was like, cool, thanks. That's like the one time I did an actual mushroom raid. But yeah, man, if you tell people like, hey, I just need a small piece, or even like, hey, can I take this? I study mushrooms and all that kind of stuff. They will, oftentimes, most people, I can't tell you a time I've ever had someone tell me no when it came to that. Most people are actually really, really accepting of that. So yeah, if you go back and ask them, I bet somebody would probably let you have it. Howdy, Hike, Plum says, and welcome. John B says, I will send it with the bluet. It's growing real slow. Some of that stuff can grow real slow. Chicken of the woods doesn't typically grow slow for me. But of course, this species I've never grown before, so I don't actually know. But I love pretty much any kind of polypore. And I store as many different polypores as I possibly can afford to store. They're unfortunately the thing that has to take the lowest priority in my collection efforts, just because I don't like. There's so many unknown species, but I collect everything I can, like blue cheese polypores, white cheese polypores, and the blue cheese are some of my favorite, just the way they look, and they're pretty fleshy. But the harder the mushrooms that are, the polypores that are harder than wood, the wood they're growing on, are some of my favorites, just hands down. Oh, well, thanks, Plum. What does chicken of the woods taste like? I've never had it. Well, you might not be surprised to hear this, but it tastes like chicken. A lot like chicken. It tastes like mushroom chicken. Like, it is definitely got a fungal flavor, but chicken of the woods in particular is a lot like chicken breast, especially in texture. This is one that I and Ben Erickson have really targeted as probably one of, I think some of the guys, that podcast will come out. I was interviewed yesterday. We talked about chicken of the woods on that one. That was the, sorry, I've got a bit of a cold, but that was a part of Microdex's podcast that he's putting together. So it was pretty neat, like a little round table. But we once had our buddy Daniel cook chicken of the woods for us in at a log growing class that we did, and we had chicken of the woods spawn there for sale as well, which was probably a really good decision. But we served chicken, and of course we made sure people didn't have mushroom allergies or anything like that. But we served a chicken stir fry, and then as people were eating it, we're like, "So did you know that there are?" Because people were like, "Where are the mushrooms in this?" And I was like, "Well, this is chicken of the woods. And can you tell me which pieces are your chicken breast and which pieces aren't?" And people literally could not get it right most of the time. It was pretty incredible. So that gives you a really good idea, I hope, on the. Sometimes sulfurious can taste bad, but that's usually when it's grown on pine. Can I atmospherically steam a master's mix blend and not get contamination, or I must reach? No, you can absolutely steam. When we did our fruiting blocks, we do them in a atmospheric pasteurizer. So just a steam pasteurizer. It's literally just a boiler that runs to one of the 3-gallon troughs. So some bursting bags, nice and percent of the time. Well, so there are probably some things that you can do to help with that in the Presto, but you can absolutely atmospheric steam. Now, atmospheric steam is usually going to take a lot longer. So to give you an idea, if I jam pack my sterilizer, 150-liter autoclave, if I absolutely jam pack it, then I got to cook for like 6.5 hours just to really get everything good and cooked in the center. But that's usually when we're not packing with like air channels and stuff like that. So, but even then, it's still like a 4-hour job, which is nothing compared to our ultra pasteurizer, which is the steam pasteurizer. And that, instead of like, 14 to 18 10-pound blocks, I think is what we can fit in that 150-liter autoclave. We can fit like 120 in the 300-gallon pasteurizer, and then we cook for about 24 hours. So it's a lot longer, but you get a lot more blocks. The efficiencies at our electrical cost here actually run up to being fairly similar per block. So there are some efficiencies to the autoclaving, but you absolutely do not have to do it for fruiting blocks. Like our fruiting blocks, Jacob, only get to 209 degrees Fahrenheit in the pasteurizer. Do you have any experience with Agaricus glassii mural? You have to remind me which one that one is again. I don't know my Agaricus very well. Isn't that the almond Agaricus? Modern research indicates that the commercially cultivated strains traditionally called Agaricus glassii mural are genetically synonymous with Agaricus oh my gosh, I can never say this name. Subrufescens. Um, so the common name is the sun mushroom, royal sun agaricus, almond mushroom. Okay, so yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's the almond agaricus. Yeah, I mean, I've got a bunch of spawn of that going right now, but I've only ever done it outside. So, let's see. Great colonization. I've tried to grow them on compost manure and CBG land. So my understanding with them is they like heat. They're one of the few mushrooms that we grow outdoors in the really hot summertime, and this was really our first year doing it. So I don't have a ton of experience with it. But the spawn smells incredible. I love it when you break the stuff up and you start spawning with it, and it's just absolutely just a killer smell. I'm allergic to almonds, so that's like the closest I can get to the smell and the flavor, really. I tried casing them with 50-50 peat to verm, but ended up with trike both times. One casing I sterilized, and the other I didn't cook at all. Goodness, guys, I can't. Does that mean they're coughing or yawning? Hey, boy. Welcome back. I tried casing them with 50-50 peat to verm, but ended up with trike both times. One casing I sterilized, and the other I didn't cook at all. So if you sterilized it, yeah, you probably shouldn't have gotten trike. Sterilized, and you got trike both times. Yeah, so there's something going on that's either your sterilization is not good. I'm not trying to set your throw shade or anything, but either your sterilization game is not on point yet, or you've got a hitchhiker somewhere in your process that you've got to figure out where it goes. Usually with trike, the thing that cures it for me when I get trike is almost always just increase my cook time a little bit. And it usually gets rid of that. But I don't really know how much experience you have doing sterilization, so it's hard to know exactly where you're at and where it might be in your process. But yeah, trike will oftentimes be cured with just a little bit better cook. Spotted a lion's mane on a tree next to the house I was plumbing. The people who owned the tree thought I was strange for wanting to eat it. Yeah, well, tell them that you're going to take it home and clone it and see the looks you get, man. Because they're at least used to people eating mushrooms sometimes. But they're probably like, is that valuable? Should we tell him no? Should we eat it? But I also didn't adjust the pH because I've never done that before, and I'm not really confident trying it. I never adjust pH with mushrooms. I only adjust pH with plant stuff, which I think is pretty funny, but because I know a lot of people work really hard, and part of that could be the fact that we have such hard water here already, and the mushrooms tend to like a little bit more alkaline substrate, so that might be why we get away with that. But I actually tried this last round of plant tissue culture. I just didn't adjust the pH. I actually forgot during the process because I was in a hurry to get the autoclave closed up, and I closed it up. And I was halfway through the cook, and I realized I was like, "Shoot, I'm just going to try it." So I tried it out, and my plants are multiplying just fine in the multiplication media that I did not pH balance. Who knows? Long term, it may still go bad. So, but yeah, pH adjusting pH of substrate's a little different than pH balance in your liquids too. So. Yeah, as Magnolia says, everybody hit that like button. And if you haven't subscribed, consider subscribing. Hit that notification bell for alerts about our live streams. We do this every Thursday. Pink oyster is my favorite. I eat it in place of bacon or pork sometimes. And it's one of my absolute favorites. There's only a couple of strains I've really found that have that ham-like quality, which is why we offered our smokehouse pink oyster. But man, it's one of my favorites too. Like, it's so underrated. It's because growers don't really like it as much. But if you're just growing for yourself, pink oyster, it's so aggressive, such a fast turnaround, and it is so tasty. It's one of the oysters with flavor. So, what's my boiler setup? My boiler setup is, I think it's a stainless steel olive oil can. I forgot the gallon size. It's like 20 gallon maybe, or 15, but it's got a couple of holes drilled into it, bulkheads installed, and then a couple of 4,500 watt elements ran through and then wired up. and then we just have another hole drilled at the top with a little gasket and a bulkhead and some PEX, and the PEX just runs that goes through the wall and down to our pasteurizer, and it goes. We pulled the drain plug for the trough, and then we ran the PEX into that, and then we put the shelves, the rolling racks, like behind us. We took a bunch of these shelves and laid them in the bottom, so the steam gets injected below that wire rack, and then it rises through the wire racks up through the blocks and out, and then we cover it with a layer of plastic and then horse stall matting, and the horse stall mats really help weigh everything down and help kind of insulate everything. We have a horse stall mat wrapped around and then ratchet strapped around the trough, and that's all of our insulation. And then we just go flip the switch to turn everything on. Ben wired up the thing. I don't know electrical, so I don't do electrical. I made a bag cooker out of a 50-gallon lowboy water heater years ago. We made them out of 55-gallon drums, and that turned out to be pretty good sized. Jacob Tucker, just real quick. What Plum's saying here reminded me that we there's a lot of good information out there now about the oh my goodness, the Easy Bake Barrel. And the Easy Bake Barrel is probably the easiest way to set something up. Jesse Campbell, I don't remember if he's got it on his Missing Meadows YouTube channel or his Jesse Campbell YouTube channel, but somewhere he's got a video out there about the Easy Bake Barrel and how he built them. And that's a really good way to go. It's a really good intermediary step between pressure cookers and then full-on 300-gallon pasteurizers. So you can build them out of a 55-gallon drum. They have a water. You basically just make a water reservoir. You just put the lid on it and seal it. Don't seal it tight, but just kind of press fit it. And then what happens is you use a really low wattage element, like 1,500 watts, and then you basically, I think people were running it for 12 to 24 hours, depending on how densely they packed it. But what would happen is it heats up, the water comes up, it condensates on the top, and it comes down. And if it ever did build pressure, it could burp. But it usually didn't. Like nobody's ever had one where they're building pressure or anything like that. And it just recycles the water. And it's a lot easier to do that. And it'll run off of like a wall socket for a lot of people. So it's a lot easier than, like ours, we had to wire up a spot for the 220 electric line to run the boiler. Anyone recommend a good flow hood? Let's see. There's a few different places. If you're just wanting, I think Fungi Perfecti's actually got a 50% off sale going right now, but they tend to be pretty expensive. Bonsai sells flow hoods. Let's see. Ben has stopped doing lab rats flow hoods for the moment. And then, you've got like biosafety cabinets and all that kind of stuff, like Air Science, and that's pretty expensive. We're actually about to build our own biosafety cabinet just to help preserve the work. But Bonsai may be who I would go to for right now. That's about the only person I can think of. Plus, he's got those pretty hoods. They're like the paint job on them. They're usually wood painted white with his black bonsai symbol on them. Look really nice. I don't know how much they are though. Spawn sure does smell fantastic. For the almond portobello, yeah, it's, oh my gosh, it's almost intoxicating, I would call it. It's amazing. The almond agaricus is more popular in Europe, isn't it? I believe so. I don't really know much about it. Again, I'm not like a huge agaricus guy. I'll eat them. I love eating certain ones, but if like you took me out in the wild and were like, is this agaricus edible? I could not even begin to tell you. But I like buttons and portobellos and all that kind of stuff. I know most people get into mushrooms and they kind of hate on buttons and portobellos, but I still love Still love them. I think they very much still have a place. The almond portobello to me is sweeter. It's more fragrant. It's still pretty meaty. Um, like it's just a wonderful mushroom, but it's pretty warm. So I do wonder where they would get it. Like, is it are they hunting it wild in Europe, or I don't really know. Plum, to be honest. Pretty sure I did my normal 3 hour, 15 psi presto for your blocks. Well, I usually ought to do it. I mean, a presto run for 3 hours. 15. So yeah, I mean, I guess just you can explain to me a little bit about the how you're doing it, because so is it growing in, and then you're putting a casing layer on top of it after it's fully grown in, and then it's turning green, or is it just the casing layer turning green, or is it that you've inoculated it, put a casing layer on top of it, and then it's turning green? Yeah, just kind of let me know how you're doing with that, and I might be able to advise a little bit. It's the best outdoor bed setup I could do for the Agaricus blasi. So, I mean, the best one you can do is the one that you're going to do. But that said, I mean, I like to. I mean, for right now, ours are just done in the the black Rubbermaid troughs, the livestock troughs, because we're growing all of our plants out there in those, and so we just planted blocks, just whole blocks into those. But that's all spent mushroom substrate. The what I used to do at the old place was I would dig like a 4x8 bed just a little bit, and would dig down just a smidge. I wouldn't go real deep, maybe like half a shovel length or something like that. Like half the shovel blade, not the full shovel. And then I would fill that with wood chips and straw and cardboard, or just whatever you felt comfortable growing on that was like a brown material. And I would do it like wood chips and sprinkle spawn, do like cardboard, sprinkle spawn, wood chips, spawn, straw, spawn, just layer it all the way up, and then have it mound up a little bit because it's going to rot down. And then we actually, for the longest time, we did the wine caps that way and the almond agaricus. And pretty much what we would do is we would take like a spade, and once that bed was grown in and dense, we would cut like a small spadeful, and then put that in a plastic bag. And it was cool because you could see the layers. And then we could take that to market and sell those kits. And then part of the bed we would just leave undisturbed and let it grow. And that, I mean, like the best thing that you can do is probably grow a Agaricus blasi under something. So under some melons. I know some people who do like wood chip beds with hardware cloth that kind of tunnels over it, and then they grow melons or cucumbers or something like that over, and that provides shade and a moist layer. And then when it gets real nice and hot, it's still being shaded, and then those mushrooms can just go crazy when the conditions are right. So that's probably the best way, in my opinion. They had a great setup for that. I'm interested in getting back into mushrooms, but not interested in playing with a still air box again. I had some success with my last run. I had like 8 tubs contained. So I was thinking flow hood is the way. So flow hoods are not a cure-all for sure, but they are absolutely leagues better than a still air box. I love a still air box, but the amount of care, and it's very possible to produce good, clean work in a still air box. I don't mean to dismiss it that way or anything, but it's just the workflow that you can achieve, the productivity level you can achieve by having a flow hood is just, it's unparalleled. And it's so, the work is so stable and so clean coming out of it almost all the time. And it's way more forgiving of mistakes than a still air box. So what's the ideal conditions for fruiting your chestnut culture? Yeah, I can't give you anything gospel because it's going to depend on your setup somewhat. However, a good hard rule is to have about 65 degrees Fahrenheit for temperature in your fruiting room. a good fresh air exchange of twice, roughly every 5 minutes. Um, Good humidity swings between about 65% on the bottom end, rising up to about 95% on the top end. Now, of course, your setup is going to, change things. Like if you're out in a really deserty location, you're going to have to adjust your humidity parameters a little bit more. If you're in a really hot location, you may have to slow your airflow down a little bit. So you've got a lot. Like these are good settings, but you're going to have some wiggle room, and you're going to have to figure that out a little bit and dial it in for your room. But it will fruit in those conditions that I just laid out for me. Get your aquaponics up and running. I got it's not really like aquaponics. It's more I guess because aquaponics is technically growing terrestrial plants in water, and I'm growing water plants. But I have flow through trays that are very much like what you would do with aquaponics, and but we're just doing mostly like in the hydro setups, the water setups. We're doing all kinds of aquatic flowers, water spinach, water chestnut, water celery. There was another edible. What was the other edible? Watercress, and just so many flowers. Like I have got flowers all through my parking lot right now, which unsurprisingly the flowers sell well. So we've just kind of continued to divide those and let them increase out there, so that we get more and more of that because it brings customers in. When they're driving down the road and they look down, they're like, "Oh gosh, there's all these flowers." So I don't have an aquaponics true setup in that I'm not doing like tomatoes, peppers, things like that in an aquatic setting. Now I do have what I would call my artificial chinampas or my small scale chinampas, which is felt bags with spent mushroom substrate, compost, fill dirt, wood chips, sand, all kind of mixed together and then dumped into these felt bags. And we then have planted peppers, and we've got some tomatoes. The tomatoes have done better in the great big tubs next to the dock where they get like almost daily watering. And then peppers, I need to water them every few days. Usually, we have a dinner here every Wednesday night where we invite like all of our friends and stuff. We have the grill here, so we do. Here at the shop, we have a get together every Wednesday evening. And just there's a few other farms, not just mushrooms, but like there's a beef farm that comes and visits, and I'll turn the sprinkler on, and half of it's watering all the pepper plants and some of the flowers, and then the other half is out in the parking lot where the people will bring their kids, and they're just, we'll close the gate. The kids can run around and play in the sprinkler and skateboard and all that kind of stuff. So we do have that kind of thing going on. But the best part, in my opinion, is the felt bags go on concrete mixing tubs or in concrete mixing tubs, which then gets topped off with water. So you've got, about that much water. And then you've got a felt bag that's standing that far out of the water. And so peppers and stuff can reach down. And that's my favorite way. So it's not true aquaponics either, because it's a really just kind of a moisture wicking system, just like traditional soil kind of thing. But then we just kind of top them off with the sprinkler by running them that way. And that's growing the best peppers and tomatoes and stuff probably of anything that we've done. With the spent mushroom compost, but I do have some small scale experiments going with. I think I have a few terrestrial plants in there, but it's not like a true setup. Portobello and its mini form cremini are still my favorite of all time, alongside pink oysters. Yeah, that's the thing, man. Like, they're great mushrooms, and it's what I'm used to. I still like them raw. I don't ever eat them raw because the fear has been put into me a little bit, but I freaking love them. I still love them raw. Like I see them on salad bars sometimes. I'm like, oh man, I really want that, but I'm not going to. But I have found a way that I like bringing mushrooms back into salads, and that's to take oyster mushrooms and slice them up, not real thin, but kind of thin, and then throw them in a pan with some hot oil and just pan fry them until they curl. They start to curl and they get kind of crispy, and then you take them and just make sure to shake off all the oils. Put them on something where the oil Like what I'll usually do is pull them out, put them on a plate with some paper towels, let it soak up, and pull those crispy bits off and put them in a salad or whatnot. And then that oil-soaked rag actually goes into my kindling box. And I just use that to help light fires and stuff for when we do the Wednesday night dinners. Yes, fully grown in. Okay, and it wanted it to pin without a casing, but it never did. So I finally tried casing, one sterilized, one raw. Okay, gotcha. I see you got something else here, so I'll get there. What's the ideal fruit conditions of your chestnut culture? I already answered that, but you probably just now saw that, right? They were in tubs waiting for pins till I put it in the fruiting chamber. Maybe I should have cased and put it into fruiting. Yeah, I mean, that's, it's hard to know. Like I said, they really like a lot of heat. So if you opened it, put a casing on it, and then didn't seal it back up, and not everything was sterile, then, there could be a little bit of trichoderma fall off your sleeve into some bags. Or if you, like I said, if you cut them open to expose them, trichoderma can be exposed that way, obviously. And of course, the higher humidity you have in a grow room or something, the more likely the trich is to show up. Now, if you can take your almond agaricus, and you got to subject it to a lot of heat, like I said. It seems like a lot of people really underestimate how much heat it likes, but it's like right now it's August here, almost September. It's like the hottest it's going to be for the year, and it is right. That's when they're popping. So it likes it hot. Zimbabwe. Whoops, I'm late. That's all right, man. It records afterwards, so you can always catch up later. But I'm glad you were able to make it. Late or not. It's tough having a limited amount of characters in the chat box. I believe it. Yeah, for sure. That's all right. Just type it out. Send it. Type it out. Send it. Whatever. Just like you're doing. And that is perfectly acceptable. Nice. I'm going to check that out. Thanks, brother. I'm planning on building my farm through the winter and trial each species to record their timelines under my conditions. I won Mr. Bombastic's 10 species. Master Pack from Mesa, currently expanding those. Nice. I am not familiar. What is Mr. Bombastic's? Is that something that Mike from Mesa sells? Is a pack called Mr. Bombastic's or something like that? Can't believe it's already almost September. Man, you and me both. I am angry. I'm angry at how fast the year's going by. I haven't done everything I want to do. There's too much I still want to do. Life is too freaking short. There's not nearly enough time to do everything I want. Pisses me off. Tell you what, that pisses me right off. All right, I gotta go grab something. I'm gonna do a sponsor video real quick. Go grab something, come back, and then I'm probably gonna grab you guys on the cell phone, and we'll go check out those bags I was going to show you. So I'll be right back. About a minute and a half.
Imagine a world where the most unique, rare, and powerful mushroom strains are preserved, studied, and shared with growers like you. That's exactly what we're building with the Mycologium, a living archive of fungal biodiversity, sourced from the wild, expanded in the lab, and made available for researchers, growers, and curious minds alike. But here's the best part. You can be a part of it. If you're a bioprospector, a forager, or just someone who loves finding cool mushrooms in the wild, you can send in your samples. If you send me in a wild mushroom and I can successfully clone it, I'll send you back a cleaned up culture of it. If you send me a culture that you've already cleaned up yourself, I'll send you one for our library, ready to grow, experiment with, or add to your collection. That's right. Culture for culture. You help expand the library, and you get something amazing in return. The goal? To preserve fungal diversity, to give people access to new genetics, and maybe, just maybe, to discover something truly groundbreaking. So if you've got an interesting mushroom, a rare find, or a strain that deserves a place in the archives, send it in. Let's build something incredible together. the Mycologium, preserving fungal biodiversity one culture at a time. Want to learn more? Hit us up, shoot us a message, and let's keep spawning culture, y'all.
Welcome back. All right. So, Mushroom Mesa Master Pack. Is that what he calls it? Love that guy's videos. Yeah, Mike seems fun. I've not talked to Mike much. We've talked a couple of times back and forth on messages. So he's got a very bombastic personality. So is that what you meant by Mr. Bombastic? I see now. Okay, I make the connection now. You're saying he's Mr. Bombastic. He is. He's got a very loud personality, but he does seem like he would be a fun guy. Oh God, shoot! I made that joke by accident. He does seem like he would be fun. Go hunt and live or something like that. So, but I've never hung out with him in person. He's one of those guys I've not talked to much yet. So, but I'm sure we'll run into each other. All trains eventually go to Mossy Creek, so I'm sure we'll eventually see each other. My ultimate goal is to build the best possible farm I can with using little to no money. Basically, imagine if the rapper Lil Dicky was building a farm. I was just listening to a professional rapper earlier today while I was doing lab work. When I was going through and doing the Chicken of the Woods library refresh, I literally, which we're about to start, Chicken of the Woods mushroom breeding program. It'll be the first time I've ever done it, and I haven't done any searching yet, but I've not ever heard of anyone else selectively breeding Chicken of the Woods mushrooms. So I'm pretty excited to try this out. The good news is that all the information genetically is there, that it's a haploid producing species. It is dikaryotic. It's got mating types, all that kind of stuff. So that's really it means that it should be ripe for domestication, I think. So I definitely want to do that. But I think that's a really good way to go. Jacob, the method that we did, we actually took a little bit of seed money. It wasn't a lot of money. I took about $2,000 from $1,000 each from a couple of buddies of mine, it's $4,000. It was $2,000 from each person. Sorry, misspoke. So I did that, and then one guy, we bought him out within the first year. The other guy basically just bought our flow hood, and he's been a silent partner ever since. You guys have seen him on the stream a couple of times. If you guys know who Charles is, that's come and done a couple of streams with us, he's one of our silent partners. So, he's our silent partner. The other three partners are not silent, and that would be Samantha, myself, and Ben Erickson. But we did that, and then we basically tried our darndest to never spend if we don't have to spend. And there have been times when I also have fallen into the legitimacy trap and thought I needed that tool, and I bought that tool and then found out I actually like the thing that we built better, the thing that we redneck engineered and made much cheaper. I like that better. So there's been so many times that's happened to me, but we also have tried to bootstrap it as much as possible. Now, we did get to the size where we were able to start taking out some capital loans and whatnot. But that was years into the process. Our farm was already producing money at that point. So, and then when I had my health crisis, I had to take out loans and float for a little while I was recovering. And then after I recovered mostly physically, we had to do the financial recovery, because anytime you take on debt, it's always a scary proposition, because you got to make sure that you're going to be working towards paying that back. And if you're sick and you're pulling in that stuff, it's scary. It's a scary thing. So, but then I also, I'm not against it the other way. Like, there's now a proven road to success, and I know, so like a couple of my former students from back in 2020 in 2019. Have taken on major multiple $100,000 loans. There's a buddy of mine that took out a $1.5 million loan and is building out his facility. He just bought 3 acres and is about to get the whole thing set up. So these guys, which like they have far surpassed me as a commercial grower, because I stopped growing commercially and went into the lab work. And both of them don't do hardly any lab work of their own. They order spawn and stuff in, or make small amounts of spawn themselves. But they definitely built it on that kind of thing. One of them got really good at getting grants, and the other one just did it on pure profit. So I think there's a place for debt, but I am also one of those people that I get terrified of debt because I feel like it always bites me in the ass. Yes, Mesa Mike. Well, welcome back, Master Mushy Mossy. Thank you. Yeah, bit by a mosquito. Say that 3 times fast. Master Mushy Mossy, Master Mushy Mossy, Master Mushy Mossy. I'm going to need $5 now, please, for requests. He's quite the character, to be sure. Yeah, he is. But I also feel like that's part of that may be him like putting it out there for YouTube, because it's true that builds audiences a lot easier. Not everybody is willing to have a smaller audience just to be lucky and stuff. And it's obviously working for him. He's building up a good channel, so he's doing good work. Hold on a second. Oh no! Oh no! Oh my gosh, shake that up. How can a home tincture maker increase potency of a double liquid extract? What types of equipment? What's your double method? Because double just means twice, so I'm not entirely sure. Are you just doing alcohol and water? Is that what you mean by double? And are you doing soak method? You want to know the real secret to tinctures and making massive amounts of really good quality tinctures? Get you a Vivor Sonic Bath cleaner. Get you a couple. Get you like 4 to 8 1-liter Erlenmeyer flasks. You want straight lab glass. You do not want to do it in a jar. Jar glass is thicker. Jar glass is not as good. Quality is the lab glass. Like Pyrex is the best in my opinion. And you want to do your dry material and then your alcohol and water at the same time. Just do the whole thing. And I usually did about 800 milliliters at a time per flask. I could do 4 to 5 flasks at a time. In the Sonic Bath Extractor I got from Vivor, it's about the perfect frequency. And even if it's not, it's slightly off. You run it for a couple more minutes. It's no big deal. You can run it in the bath with some ice cubes in it to keep the stuff cold. And then I would run it for like a 5-minute pulse. Let it rest. 5-minute pulse, rest. 5-minute pulse, rest. And then do that until I achieve the desired level of extraction. All of that is going to depend on numerous factors. But it's a really good way to get good basic. Like you want to take your mushroom, dry it, powder it, and then you add it to your liquid, and then you put it in the flask, and you put the flask in the Sonic Bath Extractor, and then you zap it. And the reason why you want lab glass is because lab glass is really straight, so the frequency and the frequency in its high quality, so the frequencies travel through it really well. And this eliminates. I'm not saying that it is a problem, but I know that there has been concern by like James of Mycomentor about titanium nanoparticles shedding into a high alcohol environment, which would then turn those titanium nanoparticles into titanium oxide, I think is what it was. And titanium oxide is an oxide, which is really bad for you, right? Oxidization damage it causes so many problems. That's why that's why they're always trying to get you to eat or drink green tea because it's an antioxidant, blueberries because they're antioxidants, that kind of thing. So that's probably the best way, in my opinion, because that you can have a finished extract. Let's say you did 4 flasks of 800 milliliters of material. of liquid material, and then you strain all that out and you get most of that liquid back. But let's just assume you get all 800 back. 8 times 4, 2400. So then you have what is it, 800? So 800 times 4 would be 24,000. No, 30. Oh my God, 32. What did I say? 24. Oh my gosh, I'm an idiot. Okay, I don't math well in my head, guys, especially when I'm talking. I usually have to favor. Anyways, so you got 3,200 milliliters right there, and that is so much extract for the home producer. And you've done it in like a 30-minute zap period, So, and it's done. It's done. It's ready to bottle. It's ready to strain, bottle, and go. Now, as far as filtering out, some of the best stuff is there's something called the Magic Butter Press. And it literally will screw onto a wide mouth jar, and then you pour your material in there, and then you just kind of lightly press. And by the time you're done, you've got like a powder cake, and it's like ultra dry. And then you've got all that liquid in the bottom. And I never filtered more than that. I always left some solid particulate matter in my extracts when I was selling them. So that's probably the easiest way to go, in my opinion. You're going to shell out, less than $500, and you've got an extract lab set up. So to me, that's the way to go. Because you'll never see a profit margin like you do with extracts. Now that said, I think there's a lot of extracts out there, but if you're selling at farmers markets, you got a pretty loyal following. You sell some small amounts of it. It's almost entirely profit. And if you're doing it well, you can do it. You know that you're doing it without the potential of the titanium nanoparticle shedding. You're doing it in a way that you know is safe, and you're doing it in the way that you know is best. So, there's advantages. I appreciate you guys bearing with my cough today. How much steam does an easy bake barrel really make? I'd like to run mine in the basement over the winter. Fitting out a basement window, of course. Could this be done? Yeah, it could, but most people don't vent their easy bakes. The easy bakes stay closed for the most part. The only time it would ever happen is if there's something goes wrong and it builds up pressure. But normally people run their easy bakes. Like I've seen people run them in their hallways of their homes because they're not putting out steam. I don't know that I would suggest that exactly, because if a seal pops near the bottom and it leaks, or I don't know, there's a bunch of different things. Use your own judgment on a lot of this stuff. But from the easy bakes that I've seen, produce little to no steam. Josiah was running a bunch of them until he got his warehouse set up last year, and now he's got a really major boiler system, I think, going. But he was using easy bake barrels to supplement their production for a while because they were so easy to pump out, and he was running them right there in the farm. So, and it's nice too. I love cooking. I love running. I miss running my pressure cookers at the house. Being in the kitchen with like 2 or 3 pressure cookers going at a time, and it's wintertime, it's snowy outside, it's nice and warm and a little humid, in the kitchen, sitting there reading your book or working on the computer, and you just hear pleasant, just going the whole time, gentle heat coming off of it. I do miss doing it in the house. Did you form an LLC? Yeah, ours is Mossy Creek Mushrooms is an LLC. The horse trough steam cooked with a 55-gallon drum and turkey fryer burner. The horse trough steamer cooked with a 55-gallon drum and turkey fryer burner. So I used to do 55-gallon drums and turkey fryer burners underneath them when I was doing the straw submerged straw pasteurization in the hot water bath pasteurization. Are you asking if the horse trough steamer could run with the 55-gallon drum and a turkey fryer burner? Probably, but so what you could build is a cat killer, is what they call them. It's the last name I heard them called, at least. And it's literally a 300-gallon trough. Make sure it holds water. Put you some shelving or something in the bottom to where you can get a little bit of a reservoir. Basically, what you want is you want a reservoir, and you're going to lose your third row of blocks, depending. But T.R. Davis used to do this back in the day when he was first getting started, and I think was ramping up because you had to get money to really upgrade. But he had these troughs; they were on blocks. He had turkey fire burners underneath them. He'd put water in them, and then he would put blocks through it, cover it, and then he would get that turkey fryer going. He'd get it up to temperature, and then he'd back the heat off, and then he'd go home, go to bed, come back, and they'd be burning or have burned out or ran out of gas, or I don't even know how they would do it. The reason why they call them cat killers is because he would open it up, pull the blocks out, and there's one time he showed where it was really sad. A couple of cats, I guess, had jumped up in there and drowned, and he called them cat killers after that. And then had to implement a new protocol for getting that stuff in such a way where the cats wouldn't get in and die anymore. So nobody wants that. But so you could run it that way. I'm sure if that's the case, then you could probably run a 55-gallon drum turkey fire burner. It might take a while to get that 55-gallon drum up to heat, depending on how full you have it. I need some advice. I've had a tub stuck installed, covered in mycelium, and I've sprayed every day. What can I do to make it fruit? It's very dry, but I keep missing. Well, do you have your temperature correct? I would advise getting away from tubs and going to bags. But if you can't, and obviously you're trying to salvage this one tub, if it's really dry, you can just dump some water in there. The main thing I can think of is heat and fresh air, some sort of shock maybe. So depending on what you're growing in tubs, I have a guess. If that's the case, then you want heat. You want a lot of heat. You want somewhere in the mid to high 80s to really get a good fruit set going. You want to make sure that you have a fair amount of humidity, but usually in a well-prepared substrate that has got the right moisture content, you should get at least a flush, maybe not the best flush, but you should get at least some mushrooms, even without the air being humidified. So yeah, that's basically all I can think of right now would be temperature. If it's certain other things might do better, like depending on what you're growing, it could be that you might want to do a cold shock. But if it's a tropical species, like an active of some sort, you don't want to do that. So yeah, I need a little bit more information, Mirgato, but I would check your temperature. I would definitely make sure that you can always add sterile water. You can add to that block pretty easily. Put a jar in an autoclave, cook it, let it cool, pour it in, just to get it wet. You wouldn't want to make it swampy or anything like that, but you can absolutely increase the moisture after the fact. It also depends like how many days it's been, because some things don't fruit right away. Some things need an aging period. And if you're doing like cyans or if you're doing pans instead of cubes or something, that's going to be a very different thing. So, I wouldn't. I don't really talk a lot about those typically, but those are going to have slightly different needs and requirements. I do alcohol and water. Soak 1 month in as little alcohol as needed. Do alcohol and water. Soak 1 month in as little alcohol as needed. Strain. Measure equal amount of water. Cook in water in crock pot on warm for 24 hours. Okay, so you're doing your alcohol and then your water. You're doing it the traditional way. Yeah, I mean, that's a very good way to go. It's pretty, but you're going to do all that same work. And so it's kind of nice to be able to batch it out, with like the sonic extractor or sonic extraction. And to me, sonic is the way to go. You can get a soxhlet extractor, but it's going to take you hours versus minutes. And almost every person I've ever seen do soxhlet. Soxhlet looks cool and it looks legit. It makes you feel like a real lab man. But the sonic extraction that's where the magic's at. And so that's what I do. Great tip to use lab glass as well as alcohol and water at the same time. Thanks. You're very welcome, Exception. That is what I am here for. That's definitely what I am here for. But yeah, I mean, I don't remember why I made that decision the way I did,
Oh, but
to do lab glass and the extractor, and then I figured out later on that was the right decision. But versus like jars and stuff, I don't know what made me think to do it. It may have been the AI. I don't know.
I think you like variants.
I mean, that's probably what happened. Is like, so I usually just like get on the AI and I'll throw a bunch of stuff at it and be like, "What do you think? What studies are there? Etc." So who knows? The part of mushrooms I never got into is medicinal and tinctures. You may as well be speaking Norse because I have no clue. As far as like the extracts go, extracts are fun. I think they're fun and they're very profitable as long as you can sell them. Labels help with that. The label game's got to be strong these days. Everybody's gotten so good at their labels and whatnot. I had some mushrooms pop up in the backyard late last week. The one I pulled up had a palm-sized cap, gills on the underside. Top had some flake-looking spots at the top of the cap. Yeah, that's that could be the vomiter or it could be the parasol. I have some vomiter spore prints, and I have a couple of parasol cultures that we've collected from here around the shop. Actually, Daniel brought me one, and my hands here, the cap had like 2 inches on both sides. It was one of the biggest freaking caps I'd ever seen. Definitely the largest parasol I'd ever seen. I only see green spore, polypore, fairy rings, and brown exploding mushrooms this time of year in my yard. Yeah, right now for us, this time of year when it's hot, we have to go to wetlands to find stuff. So islands out here on the lakes, stream beds, things like that, because that stays cooler and it stays humid. But that's about the only place that we really find much of anything this time of year. You can walk through if you want to. Oh. I was going to say you weren't going to hurt nothing. But yeah, wetlands are it's actually kind of nice because we start going like hunting in the wetlands for mushrooms. That's where we'll find reishi this time of year like crazy. But, now we're getting into aquatic plants. We're finding native aquatic plants and bioprospecting them, bringing them back and into culture. I was out there just checking on a bunch of them earlier, right before the stream. 3 o'clock, Micropreneur was doing his incubator, and I jumped on there for a little bit. I think it got closed out because he was boarding a plane. And it's like he boarded the plane. It's like as they were getting ready to take off, I guess he jumped off, but it's like it killed the Zoom call. So my first one on there was a little cut short. But yeah, it was good. But I brought him up for some reason, and now I can't remember why. Yeah, I lost my train of thought there. TR pioneered many of the ways small farmers operate. Eric Myers, and you guys. Well, thank you. I appreciate being included in that list. And yeah, they really have. TR definitely came up with a couple of really good things, and Eric is ever the tinkerer. What's up, Colin? And Andrew, what's up, brother? I sent a couple of pics earlier today of that possible reishi I'm trying to clone. Did you have a chance to see it? I saw that you sent it. Let me pull it up. Oh, boy, that one's an old one. Yeah, you don't have any white material to pull off that. There's a... Oh. So, hold on, I'm getting these downloaded. I'm going to assume, since you're bringing it up here, that you don't mind me pulling it up and sharing it with everybody. Okay, so here we have the reishi that Cullen's trying to clone. All right, yeah, so you see there's no leading white edge anymore. So this thing is no longer really actively growing. Usually there's a white edge right on the edge of the cap. I see where you pulled it apart. Typically on one that's old like this that's starting to crack, what I would do is go down to the base where the stipe is into the wood, right? Where the stem connects to the wood. Stipe is another word for stem. Where it connects to the wood. If you can get a little bit of the wood chunk, that's the best way to go, in my opinion, because you can take it back to the lab and you can even break that wood chunk off and expose some of that. That tends to stay alive a lot longer than the edge of the cap, even though the edge of the cap, where it's got that white, that is where it's growing. And selecting for just under that white tissue is the best that you can do, really, for reishi. Again, like I said in the email that I sent you, somebody on stream actually told me about this, but a toothpick into that white material is a great way to go. Now, another way that you might be able to do this is to do, so this is something I was thinking about after the toothpick, and I'm going to test it this year. But if you had a tool, a coring tool, or a drill, that you could just go in and right at the base of the reishi, you could just drill a small hole and place a toothpick, or a skewer or something like that. And if it's safe to leave it, you can leave it, come back after a few days and pull it, and then take that and try to clone that to agar. You can like sniff them with like sterilized snips of some sort, and just little pieces of wood into petri dishes. But yeah, I mean, for this, what I would do is probably try to clone it, tear off a chunk, especially down there at the base of the stem, roll it up in some wet cardboard, and work with it there. I think it'll still be delicious, baby. Santa's making her specialty pineapple upside down cake. Don't know what happened? It kind of cracked and fell apart in a couple spots, and she's all sad. She's all sad. But yeah, Colin, that's I think that's a good way to go right there. Oh, I see you said something down here. I'll get to it in a second. And do you have advice on cloning reishi? I thought I heard on one of your videos reishi can be tough to clone. Hey, there we go. We were just talking about it, Mike. One of the tricks, reishi is fresh and it's got that white leading edge. It can be really tough to pull apart. It's very flexible, and so it's hard to get the grip right where you need it. I have found that taking your fingers on, like, so you got the cap kind of like this, and the mushrooms kind of facing up like that. You can grab it with pliers and your fingers usually, and just give a good pull. And you want to pull it towards your flow hood, and then lay the exposed pieces down with the exposed part towards the flow hood. And then you're gonna pick it up, and you can see the white ring, and then browner. The rings get browner as they go further back into the mushroom. And if you can select for right there under that white tissue, you can even get some of that white tissue before, like, that's not on the outside. Then you can collect sterile tissue very easily. If not, then you got to kind of do like what all the other things I was just talking about here to get it. If you're making a spore syringe, do you sterilize distilled water or tap? I just sterilize tap water. I always just use tap water. People say use distilled. I think that just comes from laboratory standard operating procedures. But yeah, I just use tap water. It's never not worked for me. So I literally just fill up a jar. Like if I'm doing liquid culture, I'll do a bunch of liquid culture, and then I might do like 3 to 4 quart jars of just water, just tap water. Put the lid on it, cook it, and then I just keep it on the shelf until I need it. I know what he's growing, Rita Sabina. Yeah, I mean that's kind of what I was thinking too. So I want a T-shirt that says "I'm a real lab man." Insert cool character. I mean, you know, that's the tools make us feel like real lab men for sure. I'm a real lab man. What's up, Howard? Oh my gosh, I keep calling people by their last name. Jacob. What's up, Jacob? Howard. So we're on JT and JH, I guess. And not much, man. I got on to, oh yeah, we already talked about that. Text. I got on Micropreneurs thing earlier today. So I was foraging a lot of golden oysters this year, and when I went to pour agar in front of my flow hood, a couple of my plates got golden spore contaminants. Can I assume that they could be monocaryons? You can't assume it, but you can test it by growing it out. If it fruits, then you know it's not a monocaryon, and if it doesn't fruit, then it might not be a monocaryon. That's one of those situations where one answer tells you a definite, and the other answer tells you still maybe, might, could be. So, you know, what you could do is collect monocaryons and produce your own, and then when you have some confirmed monocaryons, you could try mating one of these to it. But even then, that's not entirely accurate because sometimes there's some transfer regardless. So mushrooms be weird, yo. But yeah, you can't just assume that, especially if it's growing well and growing fast. Then chances are that it mated somehow. But it might be a monocaryon, in which case you got to keep it tightened up. Put some in a slant, you know, that kind of thing, and make sure to save it back and make sure not to get any of the spores. So, and if so, could I cross it with dicarion golden oyster on a plate? So sometimes that is possible, actually. Jacob was actually asking me about that earlier today. There's a few different ways to do it. Protoplast fusion is usually the most common way, but there is possibility of doing a dicarion to a monocaryon. One of the mushroom breeding books I've got actually goes into that. Next break, I'll try to find that book and bring it back to you and show you. I found some white in the middle near the base. One of the 3 tissue samples is the growth on the agar plates that are pictured in the email. One of the 3 tissue samples is the growth. So you were saying that was 2-day growth. Hold on, guys. I'll pull up the others. Okay, so image file. And then the other image file. Okay, so here's what he's talking about. This is one of the plates. I do see, looks like mold spot here. It's probably mold right here. Actually, I don't know if you guys can see my mouse. I'm thinking about it. You probably can't see my mouse. I'm so showing you guys. Anyways, so you can see it kind of down the bottom right-hand side and then off to the left and bottom. These pieces here that you're showing, that's kind of growing. If that is the 2-day growth, 819, that would be pretty quick for 2-day growth, depending on when this picture was taken. And it's pretty thin. I can't really tell how white it is, but you can't really tell mold from mycelium, or like the mycelium from mold, just from a picture like this a lot of times. But that does look pretty thin. But some of the Kurtzei reishi can be pretty aggressive. So the main thing I would do is just kind of plate it out and run it a few transfers if you have any question that whether it is or it isn't. And then the other photo, let's see. That looks really wispy to me. So that could be the same mycelium, or it might not be. And it could be that it's the same mycelium and it just hasn't thickened up yet where it's growing. 823. Well, today would be 827. So, but I think you said in the email that it was a couple days old. So, yeah, I mean, that would be pretty quick. That's pretty wispy. Reishi for me tends to grow pretty thick, and then it thickens up really fast. So, hopefully it is what you hope it is, because I am definitely a big fan of more reishi cultures. Like this one, I feel like a little bit more, but that could just be where it's older. But if that one is days old and the center has not started to sporulate, then you got something going for you there. Because mold oftentimes starts to sporulate. Not every mold. Some of them do take longer, but a lot of molds would already have started to sporulate in the center. Pardon me, I can't stop yawning today. Just tried to re-epoxy the floor of my fruiting room. I only mixed the epoxy for 30 seconds and it recommended 3 minutes. Hope I don't have to scrape it all up tomorrow. I think as long as you get it done thoroughly, it'd probably be fine. I think that's the main thing with epoxies. Those 2-part epoxies, though, they can be pretty stout. Might be some hard scraping if you got to scrape it up. If that is reishi, does the very fast mycelium growth indicate that the fruiting growth might be fast as well? Not necessarily. First agar transfer has filled the agar dish in 3 days. That seems very suspicious to me. That fast doesn't scream reishi to me. Kurtzite can be very quick, but I will also say, so like turkey tail. Turkey tail is one of the fastest colonizing species I've ever come across. But it is one of the slowest fruiting ones that I've ever seen. I'm going to go do some jumping jacks or something. But the, yeah, I mean, it could be that your transfer had a hitchhiker or something like that outcompeted. But even then, I mean, like, just because it grows fast doesn't mean it will fruit fast. You really have to go from beginning all the way to the end, from spore to spore, or from culture to spore, at least, to get to the point to see if it what its fruiting parameters really are like. And then you probably have to do that a few more times because it won't necessarily fruit the same way in the wintertime as it does in the summertime. So you always got to be careful of that. Let's see, our phone's at 98%, so we can go on a little small walkabout. It looked fruited on the plate, and they've been going a while. That doesn't necessarily, like, my golds almost never fruit and plate. Some of them, I mean, I got a couple strains that occasionally do, but they almost never do. So I mean, I've got golden oyster cultures over there that I've got a couple plates I saw today that are like 2 years old. They didn't fruit in the plate. I'm ready for some turkey. The turkey tail or like actual turkey? You can go turkey hunting or turkey tail hunting. Not that it would fruit on the plate, but most oysters, if not all, that I have grown out on plate tend to fruit. Those aren't wild genetics, however. Well, I mean, and it's also, some of them fruit easier than others. Austriatus seems to fruit pretty readily in plates for me. Golden oyster doesn't always fruit for me in plates very well. Pulmonarius seems to fruit a lot of times just fine. So, yeah, I mean, there's definitely some, there's a definite range of what will fruit and what won't. And not every, I mean, usually if something fruits in plate, that's a pretty good sign that it's aggressive and will do well in different conditions, but it's not a for sure thing. So, oops. You're very welcome, Colin. I mean, I just hope that it's, I really do. I'm rooting for you. I hope it's reishi. Seriously, thanks so very much for the feedback. Absolutely. You guys are very welcome. And thank you guys for the content. Does turkey tail spawn faster than blue oyster? Yes. In almost every aspect that I've ever come across, it's a very fast spawn run. Do the blue bruisers prefer warmer temps? Yes, absolutely. If you want those to fruit, one of the few good things I got from Old Mondo was that if you ever want to fruit those, you really want them like 80 degrees, or warmer. Like you can literally look in the blue book, or there's an ideal temp, and if you can get it to that ideal temp, I mean, I've seen those fruit around 90 something degrees before, so they will fruit at room temperature. They're just excruciatingly slow at like 75 or below. So, all right, we're going to try to do a quick walkabout. So let me get this. We're going to go look at the sub. Now, remember when I'm on the phone, guys, I can kind of see comments, but it's very limited. I can't see it super well. And I am going to have to, hold on, I got to mute everything first. Else, else it'll have horrendous feedback for myself.
Okay. Oh my gosh, that's weird. Okay. Alrighty. Let's get you horizontal. All right, so I ended up putting these bags right here, and you can see already, this is enoki. So this is 7 days from liquid culture to bulk, no shake, and it's already taken off really well on this all-in-one substrate. That is Hericium. That's the wolf's bloom. And then this is oyster. This is KBPF1, our new rock star strain. You can see that that's growing in really well as well. And we can shake those if we want them to grow in faster, or I'll just leave it and see how they do. And this is shiitake, and it is definitely taken off, but not as fast as everything else. Let's see. We had the other test bags, so just to give you an idea, these right here. So these bags are about a day behind, and this is another oyster. You can see that it looks slower, but this is Master's Mix. Here we've got another oyster, this is a pulmonarius. You can see growth right here. Hold on, I'm trying to get it where the glare is not so bad. And the phone's reversed. But all four of these are oysters. This one is starting to show a tiny bit, but I don't even know if the phone would pick that up. And then I'm seeing a little bit of fuzz right in here, but again, the phone I don't think is picking that up very well. I see a little fuzz right there too. And right there. Might be able to see that. So yeah, it seems like that substrate that Ben had me try is doing quite well. Aftermath from today. I haven't got it completely cleaned up yet. And I'm almost out of pre-packed plates. I got 2 little baggies left. I'll have to get Samantha to make me a couple hundred more plates. We got this is plant multiplication media plates. So that's for like starting seeds or brand new tissue into sterile culture. Because these cups are a lot more expensive. They cost like dollars, to make, versus the plates, which are pennies. You guys might be interested to see this. So this is a seed germinating. And you can see that the taproot does not look normal. And I don't know if you can see that, but it's starting to get bulbous at the base. So it's about to start sending off shoots of little plants. This is some basil we're trying out. I'm just kind of playing around with some new stuff in the multiplication media. Oh, there we go. I forgot it's reversed. But right there, look at that. That root is thick and gigantic and bumpy, where it's got all the new shoots and roots that are about to pop off. Oh, this one, it's the same basil, but you can see on this one that it's actually already sent off shoots now. And that's just going to start sending off little plant shootlets. The more they produce, the faster it'll send more shoots off. This is some dwarf hairgrass. It's an aquatic plant. We do this for the aquarium trade. I just got rid of a bunch of cups. But this was a small little plug in the middle, and now you can see how it's just producing little shoots with little plantlets coming off of it everywhere. It's a really cool plant. I like the dwarf hair grasses a lot. Somebody was asking about our aquaponics. And again, I don't have anything set up, but we'll go outside real quick. And nothing really. Oh, it's rained out here. Nothing's really going to be super. Like that, there's like our pumps aren't running right now. The solar's not picking up any sun, so it only runs direct drive. But like here, so we've got all this. This is an aquatic mint. This is a flow through tray, and there's no water running right now. But we've got 2 trays right here that run across the top. And we've got all kinds of, like, this is aquatic primrose, red stem parrot's feather. Here we call this a sensitive plant. So if I take this and then I do like that, it'll start to react and close. So it's pretty neat how it does that. Literally like it's trying to get away from you. And they also close up in the evening. But we've got, like, this is a common aquarium plant. We've got, my wife is doing some shallots over there in the corner. We've got mints and tomatoes, and then all kinds of aquatic flowers, American water willow. And then, of course, we have all of our normal rice fishes and aquatic flowers and things like that. And all of that is done off of spit mushroom substrate, as most of you guys know. Oh, hello, friend. If you don't like spiders, stop watching. But I'm going to show you my babies off. So that's one of my little ladies here. We get these garden orb weavers. And there's another one right behind her, right over there. And I've got probably 2 dozen of them through this whole garden setup. I save their egg sacs every year. There's another one right here. She's actually munching on a butterfly. Get you a close up. If you're not looking, just hold on a second. I'll tell you whenever it's about to be safe. So there she is. Just got a butterfly. Here's another one. Small girl. I've disturbed her, so she's bouncing. But it looks like this little lady has recently gotten some, because that right there, there you go. That's a male. The males are tiny. That's how big they get. And she's even small for a female. So he may have gotten eaten by her, because it looks like he's just a shell. But, like, there's a wasp. So she's already killed a wasp. There's a stink bug. That looks like a black soldier fly larva thing. So here we have some water spinach I threw in here. When I did, it had no roots on it. I just collected it, and I was going to give it to a chef. Just tossed it in here, and he said he's going to be a few days late. And it's already, just in the past few days, put on all this root system. But, so no aquaponics strictly, but, just aquatics. Here we're getting, so this is red flower spike, is cardinal flower. It is awesome. And it is brought in so many hummingbirds. We got a bunch of blue cardinal flower here behind the taro. Oh, look at that. There's one of my fat ladies. Yes, there are a lot of them that are edible. So this is taro. This is the edible form of taro. This is one of the Hawaiian or Polynesian food crops. And it produces these great big, see if I can see one, structures here at the bottom. Oh my gosh. And there's there's a pup coming off, another pup, and then a huge plant right there. And it creates these big corms that are edible. Pickerel rush is this purple flower. It is technically edible. I have never eaten it. The water spinach I was telling you about for a chef, like all of this is edible. And it's really nice too, because these stems are hollow and they get a nice pop to them. And then this, it just tastes like spinach. Cooks up like spinach. And then that mint that I had, that's water spinach, the arrow-shaped leaf that we looked at earlier. This right here, this is called duck potato. We actually grow a lot of it here, and it's edible. It produces little edible corms at the bottom, kind of like water chestnuts. We also have water chestnut, and let's see. Oh, it's a little loud out here at times. And of course, we got a bunch of terrestrial plants like peppers and stuff that we eat as well, especially at home. This is water celery that's just spilling out, and it produces, like, once it starts going, it goes crazy. This is called fish mint. It's edible in a margin, and if you take it, it's also known as chameleon plant, but this is like the actual edible version, and it literally smells like fishy mint. It's weird. We got some white lip saracenas, which is a pitcher plant. All of this that kind of looks like iris, that's sweet flag. It produces an aquatic tuber it tastes like ginger. There we got a bunch of tomatoes, zinnias, hibiscus. Oh, we had some aquatic hibiscus over there as well, but over here with the taro. So this is technically a hardy hibiscus. It's been really eaten up by like mason bees and stuff. Or not mason bees, what do they call those? Bees that, anyways, whatever ones that eat up the leaves and then build nests out of them. But when it flowers, it looks just like the hibiscus. I mean, it is hibiscus. It's just one of the aquatic ones. And we love the hibiscus here. Samantha's wanting me to get into breeding them. They've got such cool structures. So Samantha has been going around and she's like breeding everything to everything. Like, she'll go in here and grab all the pollen, take it to another flower. She marks them, and then the seeds go to me later after they've dried out and are ready for that. So I've got some cucumber plants I put here. They look pitiful, but I have never had so much cucumber in my entire life. It's just these felt bags. I just water them every couple of days. And even though these plants, they're called a China Jade cucumber. I got it from Baker Creek, and like I said, I've never had so much cucumber in my entire life. These plants, even though they're small, just keep putting out cucumbers over and over and over again. And we keep getting them, like, they keep wanting to produce the cucumbers in here. So between the tubs. This is where my tilapia are. Now that they've gotten bigger, they kind of, see if I can make them think I'm feeding them. Hey guys, food. No, I think I just scared them more. This tank had developed a leak, so I had to patch it. So I'll be filling that back up tomorrow after that patch cures. And then you guys were asking about, I saw somebody ask about the rice fish. I have hundreds and hundreds of them. But even cooler, I seeded this tank with shrimp a while back. I don't know if you guys can see that, but there's a red shrimp. So there's my cherry shrimp. I've got, everywhere I look in this tank, I'm finding, there we go. I'm finding more and more baby shrimp everywhere. Like literal hundreds of them. They love right here where the water's moving. A little hard to see them though. But yeah, so this was doing really well. This has got water celery, water mint, and then it had water spinach. But I think what happened was all of this salvinia started growing like crazy. And I think it's robbed every bit of nutrition out of this water. And even though I've got a bunch of tilapia stocked in there, I just don't think they're producing enough food for the water plants. We're going to go over here real quick to my bioprocessor. And if you guys don't like gross, look away. So this is food scraps, black soldier fly larvae. And I mean, they eat everything down. These are my hungry hippos. And I'll just throw some
the water plants right there, and they'll eat those things up. I come out here and I just grab black soldier fly larvae, feed them to the fish, feed them to people's chickens. Every Friday, I've got a couple that comes and grabs some from me. So here we have like a lot of like really boggy plants. Hold on. I got the phone wet. And it's trying to bring up Google. Bunch of really boggy plants here. And so these are aquatic canna lilies. That one's a little worse for wear. These are the seed pods for them. Got some pinks going, some variegated. One of my all-time favorites, miniature papyrus. So more flowers. This was an experiment that just pretty much failed. About the only thing that really held on was the daylily. That basil tried, but just couldn't. Same here. So we have golden wonder strawberries, duck potatoes, irises. I need to pull this out because it looks like I got some morning glory growing from the fence row. This right here is a Zola. This is one of the most protein-containing plants in the world by dry weight. We feed it to our tilapia. We save it as a fish food. We do all kinds of stuff with it. I've been wanting to use it as a supplement for the mushrooms just to try out. Not that I think that it would be the best way to go necessarily to scale an op up like that, but it would be nice to know, what that would be like. This is all water spinach here, and it's growing from that tub back there. And I literally cut it back and then put all of that stuff in there like I showed you guys. That was just a few days ago. And you can see this water spinach has already grown feet. It's almost like you can watch this grow. Like you can see it. It's incredible. It's one of the best plants. I threw it into a little bit of mushroom compost and then topped it off with water. And now we eat so much water spinach, I can't, I'm eating so much water spinach. Then we have our peppers, some chocolate jalapenos, a Svarsky. That's pretty much it. That fig tree, that was given to me by one of my mentees. He came up and then mailed that to us, I think. I don't think he brought it with him. I think he mailed it to us. But it was apparently a fig that his grandfather brought with him from the old country. And it's kind of cool that he gave us a cutting of it. And this thing has so many figs on it. I mean, it's just, there are figs everywhere. So I'm going to make a fig mellow mel. That's a mead with fruit in it. And so I'm going to do some figs, some honey, a little bit of seasoning, or spices, I'm going to make me a Dune themed wine with it for some, I don't know, I guess dates would do better for Dune, but I think figs will do well in a honey wine. But yeah, so there you go. Let me sit back down here. Goes on to infinity and beyond. Okay. All right. Testing. Sounds like you can hear me. And all right, I'm back. I'm back. Now, see that you guys have comments. Let me get through them. Seen a jar of fully colonized brown rice bruised blue when shaken. Thought it was contaminated, but after sitting for a couple days, turned back white. Blew my mind. That was probably an active compound. I'm trying to set my basement up for farmers market growing. It is unfinished, mostly concrete with wood ceiling. Drainage all along the floors. There's lots of support beams that stop me from having one big tent. Should I consider building out a grow room, or do you think one or two tents would do? What materials are used for building out a safe grow room in your home? So if you watch my older videos, you can see that we just did in our basement. We tied into the floor joist above, and then had it sit, on upright 2x4 uprights. We literally just took 2x4s, drilled holes through them, ran PVC for the shelving. That made it super cheap, and then we hung plastic and gave an air gap so that the humidity wouldn't build up between the walls or the ceiling or anything like that, and just kept it going like that, and that worked out really well. Now these days the grow tents are cheap enough, and if you get them on sale, they're even cheaper. That a lot of times, like I'm absolutely cool with tents. Tents are easy to take up and go with you. The building, like I was talking about, is usually cheaper. Though I haven't built a grow room since COVID, so I don't know what it would actually take cost-wise to get the lumber. Though from what I saw, lumber has come back down some. So I'm missing the whole video typing up my questions. Just gonna have to rewatch. Sorry, Ike. That's the way it works sometimes. Yeah, it's kind of annoying, isn't it? I saw them propagate bananas and citrus with agar. It works well for cleaner, disease-free plants and trees. Absolutely, and I've actually considered. So there was a fella here, well, in Athens, Tennessee, that used to grow bananas, and he would do it in a greenhouse and such. And we lived there for about a year when I was little, kindergarten age. And apparently he got really famous for growing bananas, and people would drive hours to go get banana plants in the spring. But I've been wondering, like, banana breeding. So there are some. What was on my? Oh, it's my hair. It's just flipped over. Okay. Are you high tonight, Andrew? What is going on with you? Anyways, the plant tissue culture, I really think it would be fun to breed bananas and then use plant tissue culture to help expand the plants out. And then you get them to plantlet size in the spring and then out there. And then I think bananas would love the conditions I've got out in my parking lot. So, but Sam and I are already working. There are 3 flowers going to be working on breeding next year. And then we're probably going to do peppers. So I'll probably do 300 pepper plants next year. And the most I've ever done before that was 50. So it'll be another 250 plants more than I'm used to. But with plant tissue culture, like I'm producing hundreds of peppers in a cup. I can get like 100 to 300 pepper plantlets out of one of those cups. And then that's so much easier for me to overwinter like that and to actually grow the plants. So I don't know, it's pretty incredible. And then, yeah, the fish, man, the rice fish are doing just absolutely phenomenal. Like, it's crazy. I love orb weavers. They begun to disappear in my area and are being replaced by some the Joro spider. Invasive Japanese weavers with a different shape. Or, no, it's Joro Joro sounds Japanese. It's either Japanese or European or something. Maybe it is Asian. But they're coming into the Smokies. Like, they've found Joro spiders in the Smokies. And this will be a haven for my garden orb weavers. Those ladies have been with me. So I save the egg sacs from my favorite females every year and then post them up into like underneath the rafters. So I've had them here for 6 years. And then before that, I had them at the old house for 8 or 10 years. And then before that, I had them at the old house 2 or 3 years before that. So every year I select my favorite females and I make sure they're like, I don't just ever destroy egg sacs, but my favorite females, their egg sacs get moved to really safe locations. Like if I'm like, oh, this is crazy. I also feed them. I'll go there and I'll catch black soldier flies as they're molting. And then I feed them to my spiders. Sometimes I catch the butterflies. My daughter gets so angry when I catch the butterflies and feed them to them. At least she used to. I guess she doesn't as much anymore. I answered that one. I remember that. I just pulled my cucumber up. They were the only plant in the garden still producing. But circumstances force you to pull them up. That sounds sad. Wonder what circumstances force you to do that. We were talking about doing a fall garden. And so a friend of ours ripped up her tomatoes. And I was like, the tomatoes are about to go crazy, though. Like, it's always the heat. She's like, they stopped producing. I was like, yeah, but they stopped producing in the heat. And in Tennessee, we get shoulder seasons. like spring and fall. Well, spring and autumn are the best time to get your tomatoes out here. No, those shrimp are not edible. Um, those are ornamental shrimp. They sell for a lot more than eating shrimp would for me. um, those shrimp wholesale will sell for like $3 a pop. And just now, like this is my first year really seeding outdoor tubs with them, but they will overwinter here. Um, I know that because I had a buddy do it. So yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be just popping as many shrimp out as I can into every tub from now on. I love that you grow carnivorous plants. Well, thank you, Chrissy. Yeah, I got into them a few years ago, but I never did get I'm not a huge collector, and I mainly collected sundews for a long time. But I had a I guess like a bad winter come and just wipe out all my sundews, and I didn't bring them inside. Or maybe I brought them inside and I wasn't able to keep them alive inside. It's been years and years now. But when I saw some of those black tubs I bought, a guy was going, he's like, hey, I've got to move. I've got all these black tubs. You want to get them? Actually, I need to send him a payment. I'm glad you guys reminded me. But he was telling me, about it, whatnot. And then he's like, I've got all these pitcher plants. You want them? I'm like, yeah, I'll take the pitcher plants for sure. They turned out to be a rare white lip Sarracena. And so I've been just dividing them up because there for a while it was hard to get some of these predatory plants early in the season. So that's what I was about to ask Plum. I'm about to start a shrimp tank. I mean, so I'm thinking next year with all those outdoor tubs, I might set up. I had some credit with a fish hatchery because I bought some tilapia, and they weren't able to give me what I wanted. So they have crayfish, and in order to breed crayfish, you really need to have brackish water, so partly salty water, which is possible, very possible. But you can get the little baby shrimplets from them and then raise those out. And I've been thinking, like, I might just let the rice fish go in there and see how they handle having a bunch of crayfish. The nice thing about crayfish is I can take these shelves and stack them, right? And literally make units that I can pull up. And the crayfish need surface area, and then they would be getting edible size stuff, right? So, but they need surface area versus water depth. And I could make water or surface area, because that's the biggest thing is they're territorial. They'll fight each other. So the more nooks and crannies you can create, the more you'll be able to keep alive in there. Black soldier flies are amazing composters. They compost much faster than red regulars or other earthworms. They do, and they'll eat meat. If I've got a fish that dies, I can literally take that fish out. I can toss it in there. They eat all the water plants, including water lettuce, which is something that I've never seen anything else eat. Even tilapia won't eat it. They eat, it doesn't matter if you throw eggs in there. I've thrown moldy stuff in there before, and they've just ripped into it like it was nothing. They just do not care. And they are so nutritious. The only thing is I can only grow them for the hottest months of the year. I've got them for like 4 months total. And then I have to just go back to regular wigglers. I'd love a cutting of that fig. Yeah, I mean, well, I'll see what I can do. This will be our first year doing cuttings. So we're going to get the figs, and then before the season ends, you're supposed to prune it back, and then we're going to use the pruning to get the cuttings, and we're going to take the cuttings to the plant room and see how they do. This one actually had a fair amount of dieback from the winter. It was like it did pretty well, but it definitely died back like 2 feet from last year's growth. But then it grew with a vengeance. So I'll see if I can get any cuttings of it. I'm sure I'll talk about it, and you can remind me, because I'm not going to remember between now and then. That interlodal spacing on those figs looks well. It does, doesn't it? It's crazy. And this thing, I mean, it's grown huge in that tub, and it's still growing, and it's still putting on figs. And I love figs. I didn't know they were so easy to grow. One of my former customers used to buy ready-to-fruit blocks from me. It's down in Chattanooga, and it's Two Angels Mushroom Farms, what they were. I think they may still have that branch, but I know they're like Two Angels Fig Farm now. they started growing figs and all the mushroom spent substrate they had, and she started just doing the cuttings, right? And I think she said that they're making way better money on figs than they were mushrooms. To be fair, they didn't have the most efficient space for the mushrooms. They were kind of make and do. And then, I mean, she literally is a manager at a plant nursery, so probably pretty easy to get the figs going that way. But I mean, it makes sense. Like figs are a super cool plant. They grow fast. They're kind of like mushroom plants, right? Like they just in the fact that they grow very small plant can grow huge in a very little amount of time and be incredibly productive. What old video of building a grow room? I must have missed it. Yeah. Give me a second, and I can tell you what to search for. I think I can link it. Yeah, I think if it's YouTube, I can link just fine. Give me 1 second to find it. Okay, so we have this one. Oh my gosh, that's baby Andrew. Oh, baby Andrew. Let's see. Hike, this may or may not be clickable in the chat. And it may or may not be copy pastable. If you're not able to, it's just called How to Grow Mushrooms Grow Room Overview. And then I have hold on, I got another one. Oh my goodness. Okay, there's also Married with Mushrooms, the new grow room. But I'm going to get you a link to that one too. And you can let me know if it works or not. Okay, Hike, let me know if you can. It worked so well, I left the live stream. Oh, shoot, yeah, okay. Fair enough. Maybe write down the names: How to Grow Mushrooms, Grow Room Overview, and then Married with Mushrooms, the new grow room. The new grow room, I think, actually shows like what tools and stuff we were using because we were building a side grow room there. So yeah, fig cuttings are big business. I never realized. I didn't know they were a big business, man, until recently. Like, it was crazy. It was crazy different from what I was thinking. You know, like I never really eaten figs. I think I had like a figgy Newton or something one time. You know. I lived in Chattanooga for a couple of years. Shout out to the Nuke. Nah, man, Chatty's awesome. It's a beautiful city. It just flows with the river, and then it's just river, city, moving along with it, mountains. You know, like it's just fantastic. If you like outdoor stuff, Chattanooga's the place to be. You're very welcome, Hike. I hope it really do help. It helps, man. We got a lot of videos out there, and there's other guys putting out videos on their grows and stuff as well that are newer, probably not better, but. I remember when you were in the basement, the OG grow room. Yeah. That's not the OG grow room to me, though. That's the one to the channel for sure. The OG one for me is a few years before. That was probably the best first grow room I had. Like the first iteration. We still do things in somewhat that manner today. So that was the first one of them. So. Is there a lion's mane strain that you have that will grow well in vitro? I thought you mentioned it before, or was it something you're testing? No, there's a couple that I've definitely got to do in vitro. Pretty much most of them, but in my opinion, the best one, it's not a lion's mane, is cone tooth. It just does so well, but pretty much any of them will. I've tried elderwood. Elderwood grows really well. It's a little spongier. Excuse me. Don't know why my voice went to 12 years old. And then you have the tribbles. The tribbles grows pretty thick, even in vitro. So that's a good one in vitro. I think all of those are. Most Hericium will grow in vitro. It just kind of depends on what texture you're looking for and flavor and that kind of thing. And in my opinion, the most superb texture and flavor is cone tooth over any lion's mane. But if you truly want a lion's mane, like for extracts or whatever, elderwood or tribbles are probably the best to go there. And wolf's bloom is a close third, but if you're going outside the bag, wolf's bloom is really pretty, very presentable, and it's a good farmer's market one. I feel like so you can almost like pull it apart in lobes. Get them Teddy. Are those Teddy around somewhere? There's Teddy. I see him over there. What is it getting? Does Mossy Creek branch off to Chattanooga? As in like the actual creek? No. That's Chattanooga's 2.5 hours away. Mossy Creek doesn't actually flow very far anymore because once they built the reservoirs, I mean, it's flowed the same distance my entire life. But when they built the TVA built the reservoirs, it flooded and it pushed where Mossy Creek flows into the major waterway way back. So it ate up a lot of Mossy Creek by doing so. But Mossy Creek comes, it's a spring and it comes up and it actually flows two directions because it comes up in like an upwelling is what they call it. And then it flows down towards Dandridge in one direction, and then it flows towards Lake Cherokee the other. Definitely not better. Right? Exactly. I've got a... You can call me Mossy, man. It doesn't matter. I don't mind people calling me Mossy. Just don't call me Andy. I don't like Andy. I'm not going to get mad at you, and I'm not going to correct you if you do it, but if you're asking. You get any how to grow shiitake? I've got one that's my experience with shiitake, and get just ready to fruit blocks from Main Cap and Stem. I got main blocks from them twice, and they took up the order both times, and I wouldn't pay for it, so we just didn't. We don't do business together anymore. But they, that was the only way. I grow shiitake on a regular basis, but I don't think I've ever done a video from one side to the other myself. I just did one on like the fruiting conditions and how we were doing it. 3790 is pretty easy to do. 3782 is easier and faster, but a little bit lower quality mushroom. You're gonna get great yield on both of those most of the time. So it's shiitake's an adventure though. It's one of those you gotta wait for. So 3782 takes 8 weeks. 3790 takes 12. Jupiter from Field and Forest, if you're doing that indoors, it takes almost a year before that thing really wants to produce. Produces a massive mushroom. It's a massive shiitake. It's fantastic. It's like one of the best eating mushrooms ever. It's just I don't know that I can do a year. So apparently Plum's with me. Looks like I don't have patience for shiitake. Yeah, I do. Mainly because I know like I can just ramp up over time. So it's not that I don't actually guess I have the patience for it. I have to trick myself into it. But shiitake it's the best eating mushroom that is grown commonly. Like just hands down, it's one of the single most grown mushrooms, but it's also just, in my opinion, it is better than anything except maybe enoki. People always talk about morels, and I love morels. Don't get me wrong, I love morels. It was the first mushroom I ever ate growing up was morels. Well, maybe I may have had buttons before, I don't know, but one of the first mushrooms. But morels can go F themselves when it comes to shiitake, man. Shiitake is such a better eating mushroom than morels, even though I love them. I have one log of shiitake, and it's awesome when you get a natural flush. We want to keep kicking and soaking it to get more. Well, we mostly leave it alone, though. Yeah, it's good when you can force it for sure, but, I mean, man, when you can get it in the seasons, like wet and dry, and you get those donko forms with the cracked caps. Those are so good. I mean, don't get me wrong. Koshin forms like 3782 and 3790. Koshin means that it's like smooth cap, usually a little bit more tender, and it's usually more fragrant. Whereas Donko tends to be meatier, chewier, bigger, thicker cracked caps. The cracked caps are from humidity, the humidity cycles being dry, wet, dry, wet. So the outer skin starts to dry, but the interior tissue continues to grow. So it kind of cracks and reheals and stuff until it gets, but it also is why it gets that meaty flavor or meaty texture. Shiitake is amazing in soups and stews. Yeah, we were growing that 3790 back when that same video from when we had bought those blocks from Main Cap and Stem, and we were selling some of the mushrooms to Kaizen. It was a Kaizen up in Knoxville, and man, they basically just made like a hot pot, and you would just drop the mushrooms in, and they would be like not cooked on the inside, but cooked on the outside. So good, so freaking good. We don't grow morels in my area. I've tried finding black morels after controlled burns, but no luck. Plumaway. Thought you were in Appalachia. Should be getting some blondes. That's the case. Maybe I'm remembering wrong. I can never remember where people are from. I got slightly cracked caps. They had the impressions. Nice. Yeah, I mean, when you get them cracked, it's just that chewy texture. I love it. Absolutely love it. Let's get another sponsor real quick. Give me a pee break, and I'll be right back. Let's go with House.
Hey folks, welcome to another sponsorship for the Mushroom Cast. We're always talking about dialing in your grow setup, and when it comes to humidity, there's one name we trust, House of Hydro. These foggers are an absolute game changer for mushroom cultivation. House of Hydro's ultrasonic humidifiers put out an incredibly fine, cool mist. So fine, in fact, that mycelium can actually uptake it straight from the air. That means better hydration, better growth, happier mushrooms, and better yields. And let me tell you, these things are way easier to vent around your op than setting up full-on plumbing pressure systems. No pipes, no hassle, just perfect humidity right where you need it. And when you're working with the best, you want the best support. John at House of Hydro takes care of his customers better than anyone in the game. If you ever need help, they've got you covered. And because House of Hydro is sponsoring the Mushroom Cast, we've got a deal for you. Use code Mossy at checkout, and you'll get a full set worth of free replacement discs with your order. It's up to a $50 value. Get yourself a House of Hydro fogger. Your mushrooms will thank you. Keep spawning culture, y'all.
Welcome back to my presents. Picked them young. The shiitake? Yeah, when you're doing outdoor grows, it's better to be safe. The good news about shiitake is it doesn't get buggy the way oysters and hericium do outside. And so it's a lot tougher, easier to get cleaner mushrooms. But even then, you always have to be kind of careful with mushrooms and getting them super buggy and whatnot. They can be a bit not fun that way. Crunch. It's not a good. You hit that crunch and you're like, oh, you haven't even tasted it yet. And you're just like, oh crap. Some of my family's from Appalachia, but I'm a coastie. Ah, gotcha. Okay, that's right. I think I know now. Man, I swear that I really do think a mosquito got me on the bicep when I was out there or something. It is itchy. Pardon me. Okay. Now, that coughing fit distracted me. I don't know what I was going to say now. That's okay. Well, guys, if you guys are done with the questions, I guess we'll close it up. I'll give you a chance to go ahead and get some more stuff over there. Yeah, Plum's got me. What's the shiitake grows the fastest? 3782. That's like an 8-week turnaround. Now, I will say there are tricks to get it. You can get a 6-week flush. You're going to kill some of your biological efficiency on the first flush. You'll get like 3/4 of a pound, maybe a pound. I think I was getting like 3/4 of a pound off a 5-pound block. So, you might get pound and a half versus your 2.5 pounds if you wait the full time. One of that ways is that you can keep your humidity a little low, but you can also just try to force it, and forcing it will help a lot. So, and you can get it done, a couple weeks early, and that helps you cut out some. At that point, a 6-week turnaround, that's an enoki or chestnut or something. So, it gets it down into that range. Well, shit, guys. Shoot. Sorry. Cuss like a sailor sometimes. I know, bad me. Shame. You shouldn't have heard that. Don't you give me any backlip. she can't be. Oh my god, the look she just gave. I would be on the chat every Thursday, but I work nights and weekends. Thanks again for everything. Is there a way I could ask a question in the comments and get an answer at the next live stream? You can try. You can also just email me at mossycreekmushrooms@gmail.com. It's like a one-off question. I usually try to answer those pretty quick. So we're all around here. Yeah, fair. Well, not always. Well, I mean, I hope we are, but not always. All right, guys. Thank you so much for making this a great stream. I had a lot of fun, kind of going over shit. And oh my gosh, stuff. Thank you guys for being with me. I'm gonna go to bed. We're gonna eat some food and then I'm gonna go to bed. Y'all have a good night. Keep spawning culture, y'all.